No, we're good to go. Let's get her done, right, Rick? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to step into this conversation with you today because I know what this pathway is like for you, what you're on in this mission on Earth, and I cannot wait to share this with the world in connection with this conversation. So why don't we start with talking about like what does a light warrior mean to you in the pulse that you move through the world, and then we'll figure out where we're going next after that.
Sounds good. So, a light warrior for me is a person that embodies their spirit and what they're really here to do. They know their purpose. They know what drives them and what their motivation is, and their focus is about the legacy that they leave behind of changing stuff, the world for the better. You know, for me, my thing was I always wanted my kids to be better than me. I wanted to push the bar however far I can push it so that they have more opportunities, more resources, more potential to make an impact in the world. And I think as warriors, and that's why the Legion's behind me, is we're here to change the world. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing with men that are in the military right now is they glow and they love that purpose that is there. Right. And when they leave that, that's usually why there's such a drop off for them, is because they've lost that purpose again. Men don't have a lot of purpose. We're told work hard, go provide for your family and stuff. And there's a select few that get lucky enough to go do what they really want to do. And they make an impact that's far reaching, right? And they change the world. Yeah. You know, if you look at the computers and how that changed, or the phones, and some of the great authors and the great thinkers. You know, if you imagine Marcus Aurelius, I love reading his stuff. Yeah, that's been around for millennials. Yeah. That's a heck of an impact and a legacy left by somebody that wanted to help other men. As a warrior, he helped men push themselves to a whole nother standard. And that's where we're at right now, is the world changed. You know, with the Industrial Revolution and how it changed how we work and do stuff and process, and computers and all the technology we have right now is changing the world so fast. A lot of people are struggling to keep up with it. Yes. And they've lost that piece of what's really important because we're inundated with all of the messages out there of take this magic pill, it'll make it better. Take this pill, this quick fix. And that doesn't work. Yeah, it's true. It doesn't work. And you got to find that thing that works for you. You don't need bigger and better cars. If you have the resources and you like it, go get yourself a Bugatti. I'm not diminishing that at all. You know, live your life on your terms, but it's not about what you have material wise. It's what you have on the inside that lets you shine your light and change the world for others. Because we're all here to help each other. We definitely are. And I think we've lost that pathway. Like, at least like my reference point to this growing up and stuff, it was never about the collective. It was always like almost the individual. And maybe because of what I'm meant to do on this earth, it was more tainted even for me that way, where I was like, I'm a lone ranger, I'm a lone ranger, I'm a lone ranger, you know, like, and it's like a mantra almost in my world. And I feel like that energy is shifting hard in the collective, and we're seeing it now as a unity force coming through, right? A unity among us. All of us are like together in this space, but we've got to own our pathway and that power inside of us, right? And I know you're doing a lot of this type of work with men and helping them move through. Why don't you give some examples as to what you're kind of seeing now, like in the collective of energy that's moving through your vibration anyways? Yeah, so a lot of what I've been working through with gentlemen, with athletes, everybody that's coming to me is balancing both sides and forces within us. So you have, for lack of a better description and just the labels we put on them, light and dark. Yeah. You have that duality. And modern society tells us that we're not supposed to be aggressive. We're not supposed to be mean and angry and the things that, you know, get labeled as a traditional man, that you're not supposed to be stoic and all this stuff. So you shove all that down into a container until it usually blows up on you at some point.
Right.
And you always know that there's something missing. The voices are always going in your head, and you're beating yourself up nonstop. That internal dialogue, I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to relate. We say stuff way worse to ourselves than we would ever say to our worst enemies.
So true.
So I take a lot of guys into that darkness, into their shadow energy, so that then they can bring all of themselves back together.
Yes.
You can't live your life with just one side running it. You have to be a whole person. You have to be that yin and yang balance and keep it as best you can neutral. You're going to wobble. You're going to lean one way or the other. That's normal. We're human beings. It's an experience.
Yeah.
But that seeing that it's neutral and just, when the voice says something, hey, what do I need today?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, it's not something to be afraid of. You just obliterated that monster that you created underneath the bed. And now it's just something, another part of you that you just talk to. I know that sounds a lot crazy to some people, but we spend more time talking to ourselves than we ever spend talking to anybody else. Even use my son as an example. He loves to talk to people. He'll talk to everybody.
Yeah.
One of his nicknames is the mayor because he basically politics nonstop.
Shaking hands.
Yeah, that's him. He loves being that.
Yeah.
But his voices run just as bad as mine do.
Of course.
Not surprisingly. I mean, he got his programming from me.
Yeah.
So,
yay for him. I know. Poor guy. I know.
Like, hey, you ever think, but it's, we all do that. We all have it. We've all shoved a part of us aside that got hurt. Yeah. When we hit a threshold, we shoved it aside.
Yeah.
And when you bring all that back in so you can stand there as a whole person.
Right.
When, if Batman, Two-Face, you got the white side, you got the black side, or Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that duality exists within each and every person.
Yeah.
And it's not good or bad. It's not good and evil. It's none of that. It's who you are.
Yeah.
And when you see it in that light, how can you why would you want to fight with yourself over it?
Yeah.
It's just what you are. It's how you're created and your mind works. And it allows you to kind of push it aside, all the rhetoric of like, no, that's bad. No, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. If you want to say I'm a bad guy or I'm too masculine of a guy to go be that stoic person that works through my emotions by doing physical labor, which most people aren't going to relate to. Yeah. Or because I'm an introvert and I love being by myself in nature.
Yeah.
That's what makes me a man. That's what makes me me.
Yeah.
You can't say that that's good or bad. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And when people understand that, that's when your light shines the brightest.
And I really love, and this is really like, and my verbiage as well, like a pulse, like we're seeing this frequency move through the collective. So we have the men that you work with, really leaning into this conversation now of owning their duality and really finding their power within, let's say, the darkness in them to pull it at the root and bring it forth, to not be hiding anymore some of these things. Yes. And we're also seeing it move through the feminine energies as well, where, and I speak to this often in normal places, like on my Instagram, but that duality, like my rebellion energy is actually a tool and an asset to my power. Whereas I used to hide it before and I used to use it in detrimental ways as well. I will own that, and not embody the power within that rebellion. Instead of I hid from it, or I did it in secret, or I purposely would be like way the fuck out there and like not being able to rein it in into the way that I could step in. And I know there's this frequency you're helping shift in the world for these men, because we watch, and because this is called an Unleashed podcast, I really want to lean into this because I think this is an important conversation. We're watching men's balls be cut off from them now and put into fucking boxes of conformity and all of this bullshit that's moving through the earth right now about these men getting pregnant and all this stuff. And like, love is love. I have nothing against anyone's sexual, like in the way that they want to do life that way. Not at all. But when you're stepping into school systems and you're trying to convert kids at the age of 5 years old to be whatever the fuck it is you want in your narrative, and this diminishment of this masculine strength in the world, I want to go here because I think it's important. And I know that we can have a passionate conversation about this to rile some fucking chains, because that's my job. That's my job, right? You know, like disruptor too, right? So tell me about what you're seeing with this energy. And I know your mission is so much more fueled to bring these men back into their masculine strength and own that power, because we need it on the earth. We need them.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay. If the men left the world, and a lot of the women out there that are like far left feminist type stuff, okay, we can live without men. Okay, great. So you can clone babies. Yeah, we have the technology to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take the collective women to step forward and go into the sewers and keep them clean and keep them rebuilt? The power grid, our transportation systems, keeping that up and running. You're seeing the problems we're having with the trains and stuff right now, with the massive amount of toxic stuff that's going on there.
Yeah.
Men are needed because we push the boundaries.
Yeah.
We're more aggressive by nature. We're more outgoing and adventurous. We're going to say, okay, this is good. How can I make it better? I'm not saying that women aren't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying collectively over history, this is what's been given to us. And the stats are there to prove it.
Yeah.
So as men, if you keep pushing this and you take all that stuff away from us, who's going to continue to make the world better? Who's pushing to make our electric grid better?
Yeah.
Who's pushing to make cars with hydrogen powered engines so that we don't have to rely on electricity to keep them running, and that they produce a byproduct of water that is completely clean?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? But it's already coming. They're already available down there in Central America.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. But everybody takes and wants to lump it all into one thing. If you see the podcast out there run by Jordan Peterson, he gets bashed a lot for this.
Yeah.
He says men should be dangerous.
Yeah.
And then learn to control it.
Yes.
And by controlling it, when you're that dangerous, potent man that knows what he's capable of, you keep the other bad stuff away, the cowards that prey on women, that go out there and abuse them, that we all get dumped on for it.
Yeah.
And that's the rhetoric that we need to stop. Yes, there is a patriarchal system that exists. And we're in the process of upgrading that.
Yeah.
Together as a collective, men, women, everybody. But women need to have a safe space to be their most beautiful, authentic, vulnerable selves. Men need to have a space to be aggressive, to be providers, to be hunters, to be gatherers, like we've been hardwired to be. You're not going to take that out of that reptilian brainstem back here. It's not. You're not going to get it out. You're going to make men go and continue to do what they do, where you have increased suicide rates by men.
Yeah.
Ironically, from 25 to 45 is the highest rates out there.
So sad.
You're going to have more and more of the garbage that goes on with men that go to porn, that go to drugs and alcohol, that harm themselves and are the also most oppressed by the government and the police, because they don't want us to be aggressive. They want us to be sheep so that they can tell us what to go do.
Right.
They don't want us to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah.
They don't want us to think. And that's a lot of the problem that people have with Donald Trump, because he pushes those boundaries and he makes people uncomfortable.
Yes.
But if people aren't comfortable, then they're thinking outside the box and they're thinking differently of how they can make it better.
Yeah.
They don't accept it just for what it is. And that's the problem that we've all gotten into, because if somebody just says, hey, this is the way it is, I have the best it is.
Yeah.
Okay, no, how do you know?
Yeah.
What are you comparing it against? If you saw Woody Harrelson there the other night on Saturday Night Live, where he
Mhm.
was talking about the big drug cartels out there that have this magic pill that's going to save everybody. And you have to take the pill and take it all the time and keep taking it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's getting lambasted by all the media
Of course.
because he was talking about big pharma,
Yeah.
because they want the sheep to go get the vaccines
Yeah.
with a drug that, or I mean, with COVID that we could have created ourselves and
Yeah.
released out into the world. So
Mhm.
tell me, I mean, is that the world you want to live in and give to your kids?
Yes.
As men, as people, we need to have strong people that are willing to step up for it. And it's going to take men
Yeah.
and women, but men need to create the space for the women to bring their gifts forward.
And
Otherwise, you're going to have an
yes.
escalation of all the other stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this power within this. And I know you and I have chatted about this before. Like when a man is in his strength and a woman can feel that safety, then a woman can then embody their full femininity, meaning their intuition, their creativity, their flow. They can be and move. And the men don't have an objection to calling out the woman when she's going spiraling down her fucking spiral case. Like, and that's a strong man going, look, like, and obviously the couple comes together in permission where the woman can say to you, dude, where the fuck have you been for the last 3 days? I know you've been hunting and doing your shit out in the thing, but you got to communicate with me, right? And bringing in communication into this beautiful mix. But like, I'm an independent woman, right? I can self-sustain myself. I can travel on my own. I moved to Costa Rica by myself. People think I'm fucked up, but I can hold, right? I can hold an energy and I can take care of myself. But I am also a woman that can surrender to a man and be in a relationship to let him lead. And I could go, babe, what do you need from me? What do you need me to learn? How can I support you in this next phase? What do you like? What do you need from me? And if I don't have a skill set, I can go learn a skill set. Like I can learn that to support him. And will I diminish myself? No, because I have a boundary too, where I'm like, look, I still need to be independent and over here. And these are the things that I need for my life. So how do we come together in this beautiful union of understanding and flow to be able to move that through too, right? Yeah.
Yes. And thank you for sharing all that, because it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in our school systems,
Yeah.
in really all society, we're telling women, hey, go be you, go be your beautiful self. Share as much of your skin or as your body as you want to share, and we're all good with it.
Mm-hmm.
But who's holding that space so they can do that safely?
Yes.
You hear it a lot. You go on TikTok, you'll see freaking gazillion videos of a man that's sitting there working out, and a woman will come up and bend over in front of him and start doing her workout. And if he looks away or something, he goes and gets slapped because he was brave enough to turn away so she could do her thing.
Yeah.
And she has a problem with that because he's not staring at her, not taking pictures, not giving her the attention that she wanted.
Yeah. Yes. It's crazy.
You can't, we got to end this victim mentality.
Agreed. In all ways, for all
In
people.
always, for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what they want us to be.
Yes.
Racism, the transgender stuff, all the crap going on with your sexuality and this and that. And I'm going to push some buttons here. So what would you say if I said I identify as a black man with a fro? You'd laugh. I mean, it'd be comical.
Yeah.
But yet we're taking this crap that, well, I identify as a woman and it's okay for me to go stand naked in a women's restroom and change at the YMCA and expose all these young people to male genitalia.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And strong men standing up will stop that stuff.
Yes.
Because strong men will help strong women stand up and will put an end to this crap.
Yeah.
I'm not, there are people out there that, I have lots of friends that are gay that see things differently than me. I get that. And I respect that.
I do too.
But that stuff, no.
Yeah, no. There has to be a line in this. And all the fucking lines right now they're pushing the boundary to try and get us to cross the line. So now they've got more control. So now they can fuck more shit up because of this energy field. That's the whole intention of all of this. Like I know gay guys. I know people that are transgender. I know, like I had a client who was transgender and transitioning when I first started working with him/her. Now she is a her. So, and I honor all of that, all the pieces of that. But it's when you drop into a space where there's people that are vulnerable and kids that are vulnerable that shouldn't be making these decisions until later in life. And I've seen so many stories of people that have transitioned and then like they were like, I don't know what the fuck I did. And they were adults. Never mind this 13-year-old that thinks that they want to be a man when they're actually a female, and going through this whole thing and then fucking it up later 10 years down the road, that now like none of the reproductive system even works, none of it functions properly, and all this bullshit that's going on, like it's crazy.
It's another way to keep us all confused and fighting amongst ourselves,
Yes.
so they can push the next step on us and keep us all as victims because, here, this is what it is. No, stand up for what you believe in. Yes. Stop standing here and letting them push this down our throats and saying that because I stand up as a strong man and I say, no, that's wrong, that I am toxically masculine.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I am so in my power and in my space that when I have conversations with people, they feel safe enough to go blah and just vomit all their vulnerabilities to me. Yeah. And they're like, I have no idea why I just said that. I was like, no, it's good. I got you. Because I'm big enough and strong enough for you to feel safe. Mm-hmm. And I own that. That's who I am. I am a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
And I intimidate a lot of people like that because they can't, you see a guy that's 260 pounds walking down the street, that's not fat.
Yeah.
It's a different energy field. And I own who I am.
Yeah.
I diminished it for a long time.
Of course.
My stuff in my head was fucked up.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, and I own who I am because I'm changing it. The kids and the men that I'm impacting is off the charts. I never dreamed that this was out here until I opened my eyes and said, you know what? I got to be me.
Yes.
And I know I can't even imagine how many people in the collective out there are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And when we take off the mask and we stop accepting it, we're going to change it all. Yeah. Because kids need strong men.
Yes.
Single parent homes, single mother homes, because most of them are in single mother homes. Yeah. 70% of them end up in gangs.
Yeah.
80% of rapists are motivated by displaced anger caused by the wound passed down by the mother. 85% of all youth sitting in prisons come from single parent homes. And we're pushing this on it. This is what, and I love our education system. I think we need to upgrade it. We need to do better.
We do, for sure.
We have this beautiful smartphone.
Yes.
150 years ago, we had to call in, hey, can you plug me into this connection and this connection, dial the phone up, right?
Yeah.
But yet in 150 years, our school system hasn't upgraded. Actually, it's gotten worse.
It has gotten worse.
Because the single room schools actually were smarter than what you are now when you graduate high school.
And they've taken out so much of the truth in their collective energy of all the things, they've distorted history. They're making it whatever they want it to be for us to hear them in other ways. Like conditioning's happening at young ages. I told you this is an Unleashed podcast. We do not hold back. There's a reason why I made this podcast, so I could talk about all the things going on in my brain.
Well, and it's a truth. And you're saying, you're dead on with how they're saying, this is what they want to say. The American Psychological Association guidelines for practitioners who treat men and boys think that traditional masculinity is the problem.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be masculine and stand on your own feet because that causes violence. Yeah. No, the absence of that causes violence.
Right.
If you have a fight, in this out there between two guys, one guy's strong, masculine guy owns who he is. Yeah. Another guy may be a strong guy, but he's a coward at heart.
Right.
As soon as that coward gets hit in the mouth, he's going to go for a gun, a knife, and try to hurt somebody so that he saves face for his ego.
Right.
That strong guy can get punched in the mouth and knocked down 100 times, and he's going to keep coming.
Right.
He's going to learn the lessons and keep coming. And he's going to stand up for what's right, no matter what the cost.
Yeah.
Even if he has to tear down the whole thing. That's what we as America and the North American continent as a whole has done.
Yeah.
We've stopped that numerous times in the world, and we need to get back to that. That's what made World War II the best generation that everybody talks about, because they stood up for what was right.
Yes.
They believed
They
in what
went
they were
there.
doing and in the collective.
Yeah.
And they let that set the bar for everything else.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of people I'm sure that went to war from some countries that didn't like that really didn't appreciate like the Jewish even religion, but they stepped in as a community anyways to go and save humanity. Like imagine it wasn't just about the Jews. It was them taking over the world and everybody would have been affected by it. And a collective group had the balls to step in and they found their strength and came to save whomever, you know, at the time. And
Yeah.
we need it now. We're being called like, and Canada is going to shit, which you know, and you can watch and see like cocaine is illegal now in BC.
That's
Like what the
freaking
fuck?
crazy.
Like what is why do they want everybody fucked up? That's why they kept all the like, you know, marijuana stores open during COVID. They kept all the alcohol stores open during a pandemic where everything else was fucking closed, but you could get weed and you could get alcohol, right?
Yeah.
You could barely even get fucking toilet paper. Never mind, but you could go to the fucking weed store and they kept getting deliveries every day for fucking weed, right? And now cocaine. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, and here's the thing, everybody's looking past where we pushed the feminist movement. If you look to the Scandinavian countries that have probably the farthest, if everybody agrees, of bringing men and women to their equal,
right,
it's had the exact opposite effect of what everybody expected.
right, yeah,
You have more violence, you have more crime, you have more of the problems because the men aren't strong enough to hold the space
yeah,
and keep everything else at bay.
yeah.
If
And
you look at our cities and everything else, that's what the problem is there.
Oh,
there's not enough strength.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am not a feminist at all, but I also believe that we are all have our own level of power. But it means that we harness it inside of us, and it's different for women than it is for men. And if women are just stepping in, and not that I don't believe women can be CEOs and run companies, obviously I fucking do. And the women that I mentor with are millionaires over and over again. Like I'm not playing in a fucking little kiddie pool pond, right? They're managing big things, and some of my clients are having big results in this 6 figures a year plus in the work that they're doing as well. So I am all about independence in financial situations. I'm all about expression and self-expression and owning our power. But I'm not about only a collective of certain people owning it. It's all of us together as a collective.
Yes.
And all of us moving through that. And my role is different than your role, even though we're on the same pathway. But I will never be an embodied masculine man in this earth at this time, apparently. But I can tap into the strength of a man and let it guide me and use it as a mechanism to move through, right? And allow myself to be safe in the arms of a man who is strong and who will challenge me. Like I don't need a little pussy running around like just kowtowing to me and putting me on a pedestal. I want a guy that steps into my life and that fucking calls me out on my shit. And I will fucking be pissed off for a lot of the time of that. But that's what I need in my life to accelerate my abilities and gifts. So I'll pass you that baton, Rick.
Well, it's the truth. And it's going to be kind of an awkward analogy, but a woman to truly let herself, and this is, in my opinion, in a couple books that I've read, you know, to truly, they want to increase their status when they get with a partner. They need somebody stronger than them. Mm-hmm. You think of a high CEO woman.
Yeah.
She can't accept somebody that's below her level.
Yeah.
The relationship won't work. They'll both never be satisfied.
Yeah.
A woman needs somebody stronger than she is so she can grow. That can provide that safe space to let her sexuality out.
Yes.
To let her guards down from being out in the world and unload on her man. And I was in the car having this conversation with my kids yesterday, And I was like, when my wife comes home, she unloads on me.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I tell her, okay, hey, I'm going to sit here and listen and give you space so you can let all that stuff off your shoulders.
Yeah.
As a man, I'll take that.
I'll hold it for you.
When there's something specific there, let me know so I can bring caveman. I go, problem, me fix, go fix something. And I know it's comical. And that's what they laughed at me too. And that's what, it was a joke, but let me know when there's something I need to go fix.
Yeah.
And I'll go tear down the world for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in return, let me be me.
Yeah. I've been in some relationships too. Like, I'll just speak to that real quick, where I was like, I don't need you to fix this. I just need to voice this out loud. Right. Yeah. Can you just hold space for me so I can just talk it through? I don't need a solution. I just need you to hear me. Okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah.
But you need that container.
Yeah.
To live your life within to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both kind of about tearing down those containers, but it's knowing how and when to do that. And that's where that strength comes in. That's where that masculine energy, it balances her femininity. You have to have both so you can weave them in and out of your world. It's that yin and yang again, that duality.
Yeah.
For all of my strength with the Legion, we put it all with all your femininity that you bring, and all of a sudden now it's bam, you got this beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
At what point did we forget about that?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who your partners are. It doesn't matter if it's male, female, binary, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what makes that work for both of you. Yeah. Is that balance.
Yeah.
That's what life's about. It's not all the way over there or all the way over there. It's walking that road in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And like, I was saying this the other day to a friend of mine, and I was like, I don't need to be with a guy that is fully spiritual, like plays in the fucking dimensions with me and hangs out with dragons. Okay. Like, I don't need him to be like all the way me, but I need him to hold a container capacity that I don't have to diminish who I am. And even if he doesn't agree with all my crazy talk, I can still be crazy. And he can be like, I don't know, she does something with like dragons and shit, and I don't really get it, but like, I love her anyways, like, and that's the desire I have. Like, I don't need someone to match me in that potency, because he's bringing in something else into my world where I hold this, and maybe he'll do a meditation one day with me and we'll go meet dragons and I can walk him through that, but maybe he never will. And I don't need him that, because I lead there. That's my lead, right? And I work with people in that space. But I need him to hold the capacity for me that I can keep being me. Like, I can just keep stepping in, because I can't be with a guy who's like, sorry, you're too independent. When I go, dude, I need you out of the fucking house for a day because I need to regroup. And he gets it. Babe, I got it. Like, I got you.
Yeah, I'm no different. Okay. And when I have my moods, okay, when I go into my darkness, and I like to sit there.
Yeah.
I enjoy that rage and that anger and that feeling that I get in my body. And then it propels me to go do something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and just sit in my chair like this and just stew. That's not who I am. Yeah. And I need my wife to understand that when I'm like that, just give me my space. Yeah. When I'm ready, when I've moved through it, which will probably take me a couple of days. So I apologize ahead of time.
We know,
and usually afterwards again, because it's like, I know it's painful, and yet this is how I process it.
Yeah.
No, it's not how a woman processes it. And that's okay. This is me.
Yeah.
I ask that you respect that.
Yeah.
I go within and I root it out and I figure it out. I process it. Okay, did I need to think this? Did I blah, 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 as I'm working and doing physical labor and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I'm built. And that's how I process things. And I'm not going to diminish who I am to fit into the mold of, well, you should cry. You should let your tears out. Okay, yeah, I get teared up at a sappy movie. You get the little sad scenes at the end. My wife
dies.
And my wife kind of chuckles at me. It's like, you cry for that, but like, I was like, I don't know. It's how it works. I'm in this space with you. It's different. Everything's down.
Yeah, safe here. Yeah.
Yeah, I can let that vulnerability out with her in those moments, because our strength combined lets us do that.
Yes.
When she has her bad days, I give her space. When I have my bad days, she gives me space. And then we work together and we come back together in the middle and we're like, okay, how can I help you when this happens again? It's like, when you see me like that, just say, when you're ready, come talk to me.
Yeah.
Don't get mad at me because I'm not talking to you. I'm not mad at you. I may be, but I'm going to work through it and just let me get there. But this is, again, that difference that makes us all human. You can't say that this is how you're supposed to experience emotions.
No.
I process mine different than you do,
Yeah.
and you process yours different than Jackie does, or Allison, or anybody else in this collective. I mean, I'm one of the few guys that works in our particular group, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love that he's a part of things. It's so good.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
I love it because I get all the different perspectives, and I
Mhm.
sit there and I open it up and I look at it. And it's like, okay, these people get this.
Yeah.
They're all, not all so feminine, but there's a lot of feminine energy, and I carry enough to balance it.
Mhm. Well, I
And
technically have masculine energy, but I have a feminine embodiment, which you see a lot show up, and I'm owning all the parts of me that a lot of the times I would not show to the world. And I'm like, shit, would I have ever done a video like this in the past? No. Like,
yeah, well,
unless I was hammered and then I recorded it specifically for a guy that I was trying to get like a drunk dial on with, But other than that, like, because I can own that, and I've been there a few too many times. But yeah, sorry, as I digress.
No, it's the truth, right? And that's
Yeah.
part of that dark energy. And when a woman truly steps into her beauty, her femininity, her sexuality, and a guy can grab her, and you get that, oh my God, look, I mean,
Yes.
people are going to know what that look is for your partner.
Yeah.
That look, it's like, okay, you got me.
Yeah.
I'll do anything you want at this point in time. But it's not because it's control, it's because it's safe.
Yes. And that's the key.
That's the key.
Yeah. And we're safe to be ourselves, and we can fully step in. And we're watching this happen in a lot of relationships right now, too. Like, the light is shining in, and we are being called, all of us, to do our shadow work, to move through that, to pull the roots, to find the emotions, to step in. All of us, if you're listening to this podcast, you are in this some way, shape, or form. You are.
Yeah.
And if we are refusing to do the work, we're then going through fucked up scenarios and chaos and lack of clarity, all the shit we're seeing too happen in the collective because we aren't dropping in and surrendering. So we're seeing this happen dominantly in relationships now, where the dissonance is like getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's like, fuck you for this, or it's like da 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 for this, or I'm running away and I'm gonna fucking hurt you over here, because they won't deal with their stuff. And if they drop in and start to look at, why do I feel jealous? Why do I feel insecure? Why do I blah blah on all the shit that's going on? Now we can move this through. And I know that you're passionate about this, working with males as well, because you're seeing them in an angry state that they drop into and can't control or understand. Yeah, go ahead. I know you want to peek up in this, so I'm going to pass you the baton.
I'll give you a perfect example. All right, one client I'm working with made a terrible choice last summer and stole a couple of guns from a retail location.
Yeah.
Not going to give any names, no nothing, anything.
No, of course.
He struggled with why he did it.
Mm.
There's everything he could ever, stuff he stole was already in his house that his dad has and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's no need to steal it.
Yeah.
So why did he tap in? What was he pushing aside instead of dealing with it that caused him to go and make that choice? Yeah. Because when you do something that you can't answer why you did it, it's from something you triggered in your unconscious, something in your shadow, some wound that you have deep inside you that's not getting fulfilled. Yeah. So you act out to get attention, to get recognition, to get those basic human needs met. Yeah. And he looked at me like I had 6 heads when I said it. I was like, you never saw it like that, did you? He's like, no, I didn't know why. Yes. Here you go. Does this make sense now that you see it like this? Yeah. Recognition. Yeah. You needed to get recognized because everything that you were getting recognized for all of a sudden wasn't there. So
Yeah.
you acted out in a way that got you that recognition.
Yeah.
So to fix that is to go and rip the scab off the wound that's down there,
Yeah.
purge it, clean it, give it all the antibiotics that it needs to
Yeah.
let it heal and scar over the right way.
Yeah.
Instead of putting a freaking Band-Aid on it and just ignoring it.
Yeah, just push it under the
Because-
rug. Let's keep going. We got other stuff we need to do. More doing around here.
Yeah, and then that's where that gangrene really comes from, and it just erodes you from the
sure.
inside out, and you blow up your world.
Yeah.
I've done it myself, and I was
Me
like,
too.
what
own
the hell was I thinking? I have a great life. Why would I
Yeah.
do something like that?
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of these guys out there that talk like this. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's because of that stuff that you're carrying with you that you don't deal with.
Yeah. So true.
And thankfully, guys like Aaron Rodgers with his journey
Mhm.
into the darkness, Aubrey
Yeah.
Marcus with his journey into the darkness. It's shedding more light that people do this.
Yeah.
Because the bigger the spotlight is on us,
Yeah.
the bigger shadow we're casting.
Oh.
And it has to be a balance of energy. So the higher I'm going to go, the bigger shadow I'm going to make. So I got to deal with my stuff now.
Yes. And you're going to deal with it, Rick, every
time you go up.
Every time. Every time.
That next, financial ceiling that I blow through, it's going to be the same stuff in a
Yeah.
different package.
Yes.
And the next one after that, the next one, and the next one. It doesn't end. You have to
called the
know how to
journey.
do this
Yeah.
and have people there to help you.
Yeah.
We both work as coaches here, and we know in the most successful people in the world have personal coaches.
Yeah.
Normally multiple ones.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yet the vast majority of people want to know how they can be more successful, but then they don't want to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
And this is part of that investment, is rooting this stuff out.
Yeah.
You want to have a beautiful yard, you go rip all the dandelions out there so you don't have them in there in the spring.
Yeah.
You got to root the same weeds out inside you. You can hear my dog agreeing with me, but it's that whole thing. They love, those weeds creep in there, and they sneak in there over and over, and you just got to keep working at them. It's a never-ending cycle.
And like, I think that sometimes people are shy about investing because maybe they don't have a plethora of money, or they don't have budgets for this and all that kind of thing. And I can speak to this because there's been times in my life where this, like, money was tight, but here's what I knew. And I said this, I don't even know, I said this somewhere over the last couple of weeks, that 13, almost 14 years ago, it'll be May long weekend up in Canada, that I met my first spiritual mentor and I got my first clearing. And I was making $1,000 a month, like $1,000 a month, like, and $500 was rent. And then I had to eat, and I had a cell phone bill, and it was $150 to get this clearing done. And I didn't have the money. Are you kidding? But all I knew was I had to say yes. All I knew was we'll figure it out. Just fucking pay the money. And I needed to, because then this whole thing started opening for me. Because now I had clarity. And a lot of people are too stuck in their box to actually consider that when they make that investment to move through, whether it's $250 for the new service that you're about to launch, or it's $22 in a masterclass. And some people are so tight, but I've watched people, when they make an investment and they step in, that fucking shit changes. And even though they may only have an extra $500 this month to do something with, that can go a long way in shifting. Because if you change the energy now you're open to actually seeing more in life and moving it through. So, like, encourage, and I'm not telling everyone to go into debt to do all this stuff. That's not what I'm saying, but you've got to trust, if you're being called into a process, that it's time, and it will all come back. It will.
In multiples, right?
Yeah.
When you take that step and stretch to where you're uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
you've pushed yourself out of that comfort zone, and you're going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
When I love the analogy of a chrysalis. When that butterfly the caterpillar goes in there, spins a cocoon, a chrysalis around him, and everything tears apart. And it comes back, and right before he's ready to rip out, it's tight, it's dark, it's cramped, it's painful, until it rips open and it steps out and you unfurl your wings again.
Yeah.
And in that moment, when you step out, that's right before that was when you're the most uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And if that investment into yourself is uncomfortable, most of the time it's one you need to make. And we've both done it. We've invested in ourselves time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And that's what's helped us grow.
Yeah.
And that's why, really with what I'm doing, you mentioned it, that new program of taking people into the dark for $250
Yeah.
so they can see what they got down there and decide whether they want to clear it out or not, but
Yeah.
at least understand what it is there.
Yeah.
That's, trust me, it's it's one heck of a deal. And I'm going to give that to the first 10 people that say yes,
Yeah.
because that ability to go into the darkness and recognize that, hey, this piece isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's a part of me that I need to listen to.
Yeah.
When
And
when his feelings get hurt,
yeah.
it changes.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. And no matter where you're listening to this podcast, like whether it's a year from the time that it gets launched or wherever you found it, is exactly perfect in timing. So like Rick's details will be in the show notes. So if you're feeling called to that, even I would even highly suggest just reaching out to him in connection with it too. Like it's trusting yourself in that space. Like I just want to make sure I honor that too, because some people like that we believe in divine timing and maybe they don't hear this for 6 months down the road and they're like, oh man, I now just reach out to him. Like if
Just,
you're
yeah,
being called, just reach out. I'm sure he'll have some way, shape, or form to serve you in whatever he's doing at the time that can help you move because it's in perfect alignment and timing and
yeah,
trusting that. Yeah.
yeah.
Trusting that.
And that's why I've created the Primal Brotherhood movement.
Yeah,
And men need a space.
they do.
Let down their guards a little bit and say, hey, how can I grow?
Yeah.
Without getting judged in society, saying, oh, well, you're that spiritual guy over there that's doing this weird stuff. Okay, maybe you think it's weird, but if it helps you, who cares?
Seriously, right? I know,
I
like
mean,
seriously.
it's be you, be unique.
Yeah.
We let our women do this. We
Yeah.
tell them, be as unique as you want to be, right? Be as
Yeah,
beautiful.
babe.
Share as much of yourself as you want to be.
Yeah.
You're never going to see
So
me in a
good.
thong, snapping shots of me on Instagram or something with some fancy little pose, my butt sticking out. That's not me.
Are you sure?
And I honor everybody that does that.
I'm just joking.
I figured I'd lighten it up a little bit, but you know what I get. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love beauty. I
Yeah.
love women.
Yeah.
I love creating the space where people can bloom.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if anybody's called for it, reach out,
Yeah. Just
because
reach out.
there'll be some way we can serve you.
Yeah. And make that move for sure. We've had a pretty cool conversation over the last little while. I don't know how long we've been going for, but whatever it is in alignment. But if you were to like, I just want to make sure I pass this over to you. Like, if there was something on your heart that you wanted to say to humanity, to all the light warriors out there, whether they're male, female, whatever they decide to lean into these days in connection with who they really are, like, what's on your heart today to serve the collective?
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say trust yourself.
Yeah.
And that seems very simple because most of the time we don't trust our gut feeling, our reaction.
Yeah.
Stop diminishing yourself. Stop diminishing that voice in your head that's saying, or that gut feeling that says, do this,
Mm-hmm.
and step into that. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
We're built and designed to do so much more than what we realize,
Mm-hmm.
and that what society says is normal for us to do.
Yes.
Step into that part of you.
Yes.
When you do, you're going to open up a whole new world for yourself, and you're going to be happier. You're going to have more joy and more excitement in your life because you're not diminishing that part of you that thought was craziness.
Right. Yeah.
As a guy that has a lot of psychic abilities,
Mm-hmm.
I never knew how to tell anybody about it. I thought I was just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
As I'm clairvoyant, I'm telepathic, I am hugely empathic and highly intuitive.
Yeah.
And as I keep on this journey, I open these up more and more.
Okay.
And allowing yourself to believe in yourself again,
Mm,
to play full out, will make your soul so much happier,
yes.
and your life will be so much more fulfilling and worth living again.
Hmm.
So if they had that message of hope
Yeah.
to move forward with, just lean into yourself, trust yourself. You're going to be bombarded with a lot of different stuff. Some are going to say, this is the way. No, this is the way. You got a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Listen to what your heart says. It will never steer you wrong.
Yeah.
You may get it stomped on sometimes, but it won't ever steer you wrong.
Yeah. So
And
true.
if you live an aligned life like that,
Hmm.
you'll have stories written about you at the end.
Yeah. And even if it's
And
just in your friends.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Yes.
be the hero of your story.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
And you get to write it every day,
Yeah.
one page at a time.
One page at a time. So true. And I love this. And I just want to urge everybody who's listening to this. So we're in the pre-launch of a movement. I'm gonna call it. Meaning we're just getting started. This is episode 4, right? So of the podcast. So we're just getting started. We're just leaning in. And I'm urging everybody to share this out. Like if you're feeling this and something dropped for you, take a photo of this, put it on Instagram, tag Rick and I. His information will be in the show notes and we'll spread the word. But we're trying to get this message out to the collective. We're trying to get more people that need or desire this message to be able to hear it, because it is so important in this movement of the light, in this movement of our spiritual evolution, in this movement of bringing back that strength in the world and that union and that sacredness inside of our space, that we just need help. So if you're hearing this, feeling this, whether you share it to your Facebook, or you send it over to a dude or you tag us, or you comment on this, or you do a review, whatever it is, help us, because this movement is being heard and it's starting to ripple in the world, and we're not the only ones leading it. There's others, right? And the more ripples we create, the more ripples we create, right? So holding space for all that. And just if there's any final thoughts, Rick, I just want to kind of give that back to you.
No, I think that was beautifully said, because we're just chucking another pebble out there in the middle of the pond to see how big the waves we can make.
Yeah.
We're all in this together,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up to us to change the world, to make it a better place for our kids.
Yes.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to lead the way.
Absolutely.
And it's up to us to set the bar for them.
Yeah, it is. And we've been called for a reason. And for those of you that have kids, they've been brought into your world for a reason, right? And there's probably multiple ones, but they're trusting you as their parents to step into this space to help them. They're trusting you. They decided, and then they chose and went, that bald white dude over there, we can trust him. He better show up for us now. He better step in. And yeah, we all have our journey. And for years, sometimes maybe we did it wrong, quote unquote. But now we're in this space of looking at it differently and aligning it differently and moving an energy differently through. And I'm not saying that you did it wrong, Rick. I'm just putting it out there, and some
No judgment.
energy, someone to feel it. Someone was feeling that. You can't change anything. All you can do is change what you want to move through in the future now, and every step forward.
That's the key.
Yeah.
We've all made mistakes in the past.
Yes.
But if you're where you are today, that mistake made you the person you are today.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have been a mistake then, but it's not a mistake now.
No.
It made you who you are today, and who you are today is going to make you who you are tomorrow when you get there.
Yeah.
It's all about, I think Rocky Balboa says it the best. Life's going to hit you.
Yeah.
It's up to you to figure out, what am I going to learn, and how am I going to pick myself back up?
Yeah. How to roll with the punches.
Yep.
I know.
It's truth. I mean, life's rough.
Yeah.
We don't need to make it any rougher on ourselves
Seriously.
by staying in the dark. Get yourself back out there. Pick yourself back up.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. I think this is a great way to end today. So Thank you guys for listening. Every single week we have new guests coming on. So I just urge you to keep tapped in and tune in, and we'll keep speaking the truth. And if there's anything you want to hear about that you want me to unleash, send me a DM, because I am all in for all things. And if there's someone that you're like, oh, I'd love to hear you talk with that person, send that to me too, because I'm opening up the palette of availability for all of us. So we'll see you guys later on another episode of Light Warriors Unleashed.